Here's the deal. Chat, we are currently on, or we're at the end of day 2 of, well, technically it's through day 3 because it's 1 in the morning now. For the last 2.5 days, I've been playing 6v6 in-game comp. And I have to tell you, I, in my wildest dreams, did not expect to be enjoying Overwatch again as much as I am. You can literally see down here, we've been on a, is there a way to see just open queue stats? I don't think there is. We went on an absolute tear. I started in plat. The other day, I literally didn't lose a game for 5 hours. You know how I lost a game? My internet went out at 1 in the morning or at midnight. I didn't lose a game playing 6v6 comp for about 5 straight hours. I might be blocking it. I'll do it one more time.
Lego.
Literally, and then here it is. Boom. And I have to say, this is my comparison. This version of Overwatch, 6v6, with the 2 tank format, which I'll get to in a second. I want to say this version feels closer to Marvel Rivals than 6v6 this version feels to 5v5 Overwatch. I'm going to say it again one more time in case that's confusing. This version of Overwatch 6v6, this version of Overwatch 6v6 feels closer to Marvel Rivals than 6v6 does to the normal 5v5 game mode. And what I mean by that is that the way the game plays is just so different. And don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, right? There's some small things I'd like to see changed. But I genuinely had thought in November that I just didn't enjoy playing tank in video games anymore. And that's why I played a little more off-roll, did some DPS, did some support, whatever. And maybe my love of hero shooters was kind of disappearing as well. Maybe it was me. And then Rivals came on, I went, I actually enjoy playing tank in this game. Maybe it isn't me. And then now, here we are. And this playtest comes out, or playtest, the 6v6 comp comes out. And I don't think I've ever, I haven't had this much fun playing Overwatch in years. Plus perks, plus the 6v6, having something to play for, but also just the games being more enjoyable, has been awesome. Now, there's an elephant in the room. I don't think the question is if Overwatch should do 5v5 or 6v6 anymore. I'm going to be honest with you. I think most current day players don't give a if it's 6v6 or 5v5 anymore. They don't care. They will play the game regardless. The people who do have a strong opinion on which one's going to be better or which one they'd play. No, not 7v7. Relax. Are people that don't play the game anymore. People who don't play Overwatch anymore have a strong opinion that they would play 6v6 but would not play 5v5. And you know what? I get it. But that's not the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is this. The question is no longer is it 5v5 versus 6v6. The question is roll queue 6v6 or open queue 6v6. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think for the health of the game long term, if the answer is roll queue, the answer is 5v5. Unfortunately, tank players just have to just take it. But with open queue, 6v6 will be the way. And the reason why that is because the overall argument from the 5v5, 6v6 stuff has not changed. It's queue times versus tank synergy fun, and also just like, you know, playing together in a game. I don't think the game would survive long term in a 2-2-2 roll queue. I think the queues would get really long, and I don't think players would want to play. And I also think there's a group of people that like the ability to play other things mid-game. Now, the whole reason we did roll queue, and I still think that roll queue was the best decision Overwatch ever did, was because of people not wanting to play tank, people not wanting to play support, right? And you get stuck playing things you don't want to play, right? But, you know, gaming has changed a bit. I think today is different than 2017 Overwatch. I think 2025 gaming is different than 2027. And you know what? Back in 2027 or 2017, we knew that you could swap Cassidy to fight the Pharah, but you didn't really counter swap because, like, oh, they're playing Rein Zarya on a certain map, we could run dive or we could run double shield or whatever. Didn't really happen that often. But now that we've gotten so far in, people know how to play these games a lot better now. And it even happens in Rivals, right? Where if you see a Groot on their team, you swap Wolverine, right? Immediately, because their Groot's just gonna farm everyone. But if they have a Wolverine, you swap off Groot, right? And there's like already things that people have learned. And I wonder if socially, that social pressure to win and that social pressure to actually, like, if you want to win the game, you're gonna have to learn to swap. You're gonna have to learn to do other stuff, or you have to just be exceptional, right? And it also rewards people for being flexible as well. I don't have an answer on whether roll queue versus open queue is the end. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have an answer for you. I think roll queue at the time was the best decision Overwatch has ever made. Period. But there's a lot of things that happened with that, right? If you get stuck in a game with someone who only plays one hero, you can't flex around them, right? Like if they only play ball, right? If they only play ball, then you have to play around that ball, right? And it's like, well, yeah, you could do that in other formats, but like, what if the other tank doesn't play Diva or doesn't play Winston, right? They're like, oh shit, I don't know how to play those, right? But you do. You can't swap with them, right? There's people out there that would love to be able to do that. On the opposite end, though, it's not really the social part. It's the queue times, more than anything. That being said, I think seriously, now I'm not saying this is the answer. I think we seriously have to consider that this version of Overwatch is more healthy and it's better. I don't like the current version of the 6v6 thing where it has freedom without freedom, where it's like limited to 2 tanks. I'm not a huge fan of that. I think it should either just be full open or not. But I understand also their fear of goats. But also, goats wasn't held together by tanks. It was held together by supports at the time. There's another aspect that might come into play, which is going to be next season hero bans. And so if you have a meta that really comes together like goats, you could ban those characters in the future. Why are you saying what with a bunch of question marks? That is a legitimate fact. Goats was held together by support, not tank. What held goats together was Lucio Brig. Lucio Brig is what held it together, the whole thing. And so that's why when they tried to nerf goats back in the day, they failed because they thought it was a tank problem, so they buffed things like Reaper. No, it was the supports keeping the tanks alive and being able to cycle cooldowns, which was the key. So that part I'm not a huge fan of. But regardless, though, I felt like I at least needed to say that personally, I've been enjoying Overwatch a little bit more with the perks, but I had always held by the stance that I was looking forward to Stadium more than current day, right? Ryan not being able to cleave is what is a force multiplier by donating resources to him. You could not have goats without Ryan. There was a version of goats called floats that literally ran Winston. So, no. You can't move the goalposts. You can't say that. No, you can't say cleave again. That's moving the goalposts. You said it couldn't exist without Ryan, and then it existed without Ryan. That's not how that works. And there was another version which used BAP, and you ran BAP, Lucio, Brig, right? And you ran BAP, Lucio, Brig, and you bowled them over with Window, right? There was a couple of versions. Anyways, we're going off topic. I'm not trying to argue about goats. What I'm trying to argue with is I think Overwatch needs to do 3 things. 1, it needs to return to making fun the #1 priority. Cool abilities, fun plays, and making sure everyone can have some impact. 2, I think they need to get ready to go 6v6. I think it's just superior. I think the pressure of tank is so bad, and you have one of 2 versions. You either have the really
And what do you think about changing between 5v5 and 6v6 season by season?
You would never do it season by season. That is impossible. Lost my train of thought. This is why I normally mute alerts, but I forgot. Oh, pressure on tank in 5v5. Fundamental priority. That's number 1. 2, I think they need to be prepared to go back to 6v6. I'm actually a little concerned. I don't know if the game can handle it. I don't know if Switch can handle it. I was playing today and I was getting really bad lag. Maybe it was just bad servers for the day. But like when you have Ram, Double Zarya, Rhine, Mythics, Juno speed rings, Lucio speed, Nano, like everything going off at once, the whole game shakes. It's weird. Maybe it's the servers though. It could be just bad servers, TBH. But I don't think it's sustainable long term with how bad tank is. And I don't think it's a solvable issue anymore. I think we've tried everything. I think we tried super buff tanks. I think we tried super weak tanks. That was like season 9. We've tried different bullet sizes. We've tried everything. And the chaos of 6v6, like how fast the game moves, also feels pretty good. And the third thing they need to do is they need to start seriously considering whether it should be open queue or roll queue. I think it's time. I think that if they're going to make a radical shift, then everything needs to be on the table. And I think that's the thing that's people going to have people argue over the most is open queue versus roll queue, because open queue has some insane benefits, the big ones being queue times. Unfortunately, though, you lose a lot of that stability, that structure that roll queue has brought over the years. But I guess the question is the structure so important that you're willing to make players sit in queue for 5 to 10, 15 to 20 minutes? And I think the answer is no. I don't think anyone's going to do that long term other than your hardcore community. And at that point, you could just do whatever you wanted. They probably wouldn't quit anyways, like those players. But I don't think that's the right answer. Like, don't get it twisted. I don't think that's the right answer in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying, like, those are the players that are probably never going to quit anyways, period. You can sit in an hour queue and one above all in Rivals. Yeah, like 4 in the morning. I know who you're talking about. I've seen it. It's like 4 in the morning. You're stacked with a group. That's a outlier and a half. That's such an outlier. But like, I know what you mean. But that's very, 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 very different. That's like top 50, one above all, stacked, 4 in the morning. Like, okay, like, you know what I mean? Okay, like that's different. Someone mentioned it earlier today when I was kind of cooking up this idea. It was about with Stadium. Stadium is going to be obviously 5v5. I don't think they can obviously change that track. But Stadium plays so different than current day 5v5 Overwatch that, like, you know, that's like a problem. We'll get there. We'll figure that out when we get there. But it probably won't be a big of an issue, because the game just plays so different. It's so designed so different. And I can't really describe it to you without you playing it. You'll just have to play it yourself. Yeah, I know there's like the min 1 max. So I'm gonna be honest with you though. I think you either go full open queue and you give everyone freedom, or you make structure with roll queue versus open queue. Because like limited freedom is just not enjoyable. Limited freedom is not fun. Maybe this might sound insane, but if I load into a game and I have 4 people insta-lock DPS, I want to be able to lock a 5th one. If they all want to lock in the DPS and we all want to sit there and hold the lobby hostage and hold hands and be like, all right, I'm willing to swap, but if you're not willing to swap, we're all going down together. I think we should be able to do that, because in the format you're suggesting, like mid 1, max 3 or whatever, you're going to have games where everyone insta-locks DPS or insta-locks support or whatever, and then you just get screwed and you have to just play it out. And you're the person who has to sit there. But if you have 6 people all lock in those DPS, I'm just saying it's a little bit more of a pressure situation to be swapping, you know, because everyone's going down with the ship, you know, with the spawn room. But it's different though if you have 1 person on support, 1 person on tank, and then the other 4 on DPS, right? It's like, well, oh yeah, we have 1 of each. It should be fine. It's doable. Yeah, it is technically doable. That's why it won't happen. But if you all go down with the ship together, right? That's a little different. Regardless, though, it's late at night. I probably should have put my thoughts together a little bit better. But I felt like it would be better to do now while I've got the passion and the fire lit up, because me and Yeetle just finished rolling in a bunch of games. This is the way. I tweeted about it last night. This is true Overwatch. This version of Overwatch that is currently available, the 6v6 thing, is true Overwatch. It feels like Overwatch to me. What Overwatch is today, the 5v5 version, solo tank 222 or 221, doesn't feel like Overwatch to me. Not anymore. This version felt like Overwatch to me. And I'd love to see it return. That's all I got.